have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Oh, there we go. I've left my face off the picture tonight and just put that up. Boo. There you go. Oh, stuck down in the corner. How are you, folks? Once I've got my fingers in the right place, I'm personally electrocuting myself at the moment. So if you see me jumping around a little bit, I've just got a TENS machine that I'm putting a bit of work into my shoulder. Haven't been all that well over the weekend and for the last couple of days. Upset tummy and all sorts of different bits and pieces going on. And now my neck and back are a bit crook. So love these little personal electrocution devices. They're marvelous. Although this one doesn't seem to be putting out much power, unfortunately, even with new batteries. So anyway, I will keep persevering, and with a little bit of luck, I will twitch my way through the show. First in the house tonight, what the? How are you, brother? I hope the foot isn't twitching or hurting in any great predominant way. I know that you're very good when it comes to the painkillers. You're only taking the very, very basics unless it gets really bad, and hopefully it's not getting really bad. Look forward to catching up with you very shortly. I hope that is the hope, and you get your next hospital appointment. For those who are a bit confused, as was Watley yesterday, he had two appointments basically booked at the same time. And he went to one, which was the one that relieved his foot immediately, but didn't actually get the ultrasound done. The ultrasound will have to be done, I guess, sometime again real soon. So I'm sure you'll get to it, my friend. Look forward to hearing about it when you do, and trust all things go well. G'day, Debs, 3333, all the threes. Lovely to have you. Connie, lovely to have you in the house. The big fella Clayton Bear is in there. I hope you've managed to get everything moved and sorted. I know you had to move out and we're organising containers and all that sort of stuff, mate. So I really hope that you got all that sorted. The lovely Aussie Sue, I trust you are doing well, my dear, and all things are good on the island. And as Sue says, please remember to give us that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you're not subscribed to this channel, which is on YouTube, the youtube.com/@VOF. And if you are on Rumble, then rumble.com/VOF will find us, and subscribe to that one. Thank you for the support on Rumble too. We've got so many people watch us on there these days. It's bloody great. Tony is in the house doing all the things that he does do so well. Thank you, Tony, for sending me through April's little chat. Some of you might be aware of a young lady on YouTube named April who is a channeler, for the want of a better term. She can... No, channeling is probably the wrong term. She's one of those folks who can travel, astral travel, and go and commune with all things, really. And she does have a very good channel. We've spoken about her before on YouTube. She had a conversation with Jesus recently, and that was posted today. I did watch that this morning. It was a rather interesting conversation, and certainly the way that she describes Jesus is something that actually resonated with me in a way, probably in more ways than one, which we will get into in another show at another time. But well worth having a look at. I should grab the link, but Tony might get it and put it in the chat for us. Toxic, nice to have you in the house again. Gomez running around doing your thing. The lovely Gail and Anne, lovely to have you in. We've got Aussie Sue. We've got Daniel, mate. I hope things are picking up in your part of the world. I know that there's been just a few, hardships recently, so. Chin up. I trust you were able to push on through them, mate. You're a strong heart. You're a good bloke. So if you need any support, just reach out. We're always here for you. Me and the VOF family, of course. So, yeah, just reach out if you need it, mate. Paul Orchard, nice to have you in the house. And I got an email today from another Paul. Yes, I'm looking into it, Paul, and we'll hear more about that you emailed me about in the near future. I can't really say much more than that at the moment. That just reminded me seeing your name, Paul. But lovely to see you in. The lovely Gisela is in. Andrew the Smith is in the house. And, well, all the usual folks by the look of it. I haven't seen Sunflower poke her head up just yet. And I noticed in the chat last night she mentioned something about an EBS announcement on the 27th of July and said that I hadn't said anything about it. I think I did cover this a little while back, a couple of weeks ago, somewhere along the line. I think she may have sent me some information on it, and I did a little bit of checking. Now, from what I've found, there is nothing to really check up about at the moment. I don't suppose they're going to telegraph an actual EBS, because how would they know when to do that? It's an emergency, unless the emergency was planned, of course. What I did find is that there are a number of test broadcasts taking place in Australia around that time, and they are using a new system which is involved with the ABC's radio network. Now, my understanding is that the ABC already has 99.9% of the country covered with radio, not necessarily TV signal, but certainly with radio. And they do have repeaters everywhere. And if certain things go down, they have very, very good backup systems. In estimates recently, it was discovered that they have been putting out a lot more money into rejigging that system and making it very user-friendly for all media, meaning that in the case of an emergency, whoever is issuing that, like the government, would not need to go to every media organization, every radio station, every TV station, every community radio station, and ostensibly every owner of a private online radio station, anything like that. As it stands, they would have to be contacted individually and given a notice that says, this is an emergency broadcast. You must switch into this at this time, or make that airspace available for this announcement. Well, that can be hard to do, particularly for more regional radio stations, unless it's what we call coming up the line. If the line has been broken or tampered with in any way, shape, or form, that would make it impossible for regional stations to get that message. The line these days is usually satellite, but if something's gone down there's a thick cloud, or indeed there has been an attack on our satellite systems, then we're not going to get it in regional Australia, except the ABC, because they have gotten themselves in a position now where they will be the ones delivering the EBS, and any other media organisation, radio or television, simply has to plug into them. And plugging into them can be as easy as turning on your local ABC radio or TV station and then rebroadcasting it. It's that simple. So whether or not that is the EBS that we're all talking about, the EBS that was prompted supposedly to come out across the weekend at the UFC event held on the lawns of the White House, where in fact the only thing that did come out was one of the successful fighters announcing that Michelle Obama was in fact a man. We know that, America, right? Absolutely hilarious. So yes, some wonderful smiles generated by that around the world, I can tell you. A bloody shitload. Speaking of some smiles generated around the world, many people are laughing their ass off at this Fire the Liar campaign, which has taken Australia by storm. Now, as it stands, let me just go back to I think I just hit the power up button on my thing a bit. Hang on a minute. Oh. All right, turn that down. Sorry. As it stands, One Nation are currently targeting $4.5 million, and they've got $4,383,286 from 71,001 Australians. Now, I know that sounds like a huge amount of money. And look, it is a lot of money. It also sounds like a reasonable amount of support, 71,001 Australians. But in the big scheme of voting, that's 71,001 votes. That's nowhere near enough votes to win a government in this country. So let's temper our enthusiasm. Yes, it's unheard of that a political party could raise this sort of cash in the time frame that they have, and I don't want to take away from One Nation at all for what they've been able to achieve with that. But I believe the level of hype surrounding it needs to be put into place. Now, Pauline, today, interestingly, I did say last night when I told you what I told you last night about One Nation maybe not being prepared yet. They are the dog chasing the car, and they've caught the car, and now what are they going to do with it? I did say last night that mainstream media might not pick this up. Well, it didn't take them long. Maybe I might be reading into this more than I should, but first thing this morning in Sydney, Pauline Hanson is in Ben Fordhams' 2GB studio, and one of the questions that he asks her and kept going back to was, are you ready for this? Do you have candidates in place? How's the candidate drive going? And she was very, very positive. In that exchange, she let out that they have 1,500 candidates already in the system being checked. 1,500 candidates already in the system. Now, I'm hoping that they're not all from the same electorates, because that's the mission we have here. Good candidates in every electorate for every seat. And that's the only way that you are going to clean sweep the cancer that is the Labor Liberal Uni Party out of that place in Canberra. And there's been a lot of concerns about, who are they going to make treasurer? I raised some of those myself in the arguments that I've put forward. I don't think who is going to hold what right now is the important part. The important part is that the current system has been identified as completely stuffed. And One Nation have identified themselves, rightly or wrongly, as a party that wants to fix that. More so than the Liberal Party, certainly, more so than the Labor Party, more so than the National Party. So they're now propagating, One Nation, the Fire the Liar campaign. And I've got to say, it is working exceedingly well. Now, Albanese at the moment is in the getting air blown up his arse stage by those wonderful, wonderful colleagues of his that he knows he can support right up until the time where they prick that big ass and he over the horizon. And that is going to happen in the very near future. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. Albanese and co cannot win with him fronting the next election. I don't even think they could win if it was called tomorrow. The damage to Albanese alone with the liar campaign is significant and is now his legacy. It is what he will be remembered for beyond any other foolish, stupid, slurring decision that he embarrassingly made. He's going to be remembered as this idiot. And boy, has he lived up to the idiot and liar name that he's been given. So fire the liar, but I think it's very important that we fire the liars, because there are multiple liars in Canberra, and right now, two of them are sitting there trying to figure out how they resurrect their uni party, their side of the uni party, to gain back the power. Now, Matt Canavan has come out today and supported One Nation and supported Pauline as being very successful, and he's sure they're very successful. He's very happy for the success that One Nation are having, except for the fact that he really wishes they weren't having it. However, he knows that it is critical for the Nationals and the Liberals to at least look like they're putting up some kind of a fight and are offering some kind of an alternative. The problem that they have is that any alternative they want to put up is a soft option compared to anything One Nation is putting up. And they look like they are following One Nation in their policy making. Now, Pauline Hanson, as I said, spoke today on 2GB. She's going to speak at the National Press Club tomorrow, and I urge you, if you have the ability to watch that, and I dare say some television stations free-to-air will probably take that live, I would watch that. Every political eye in the country will be watching how she performs, giving her first speech in 30 years to the National Press Club, and she's taking questions thereafter. How nervous is she going to come across? Is that voice going to shake its way through a 40-minute speech, which will put off so many people? Will the offending frequencies that I've accused her of having in that voice be too much for many people, and they will just dismiss her? Will the pressure of fronting up in front of the nation's supposed senior journalists be telling? Because if it is, it will do a great deal of damage to One Nation going forward. It will reiterate, or it will at least give her opposition, being Labor and Liberal, ammunition that she's not ready to be publicly seen and speak and, talk on big matters. She can't handle the press club, that kind of thing. So tomorrow is very, very, very important for Pauline. I thought today, the way she spoke on Ben Fordham was the strongest I've heard her speak ever. And I'm generally a critic of Pauline Hanson being anywhere near a microphone, because she has what we call in the industry offending frequencies in her voice. Offending frequencies you might also attribute to dragging your nails down a blackboard. And people go, ah! Well, she has some of those frequencies, and that's exactly what happens when some people hear her voice. It's not that they don't like her or what she's saying. It is simply the frequency that she's saying it that they have a hard time dealing with. Now people are starting to get used to the frequency maybe, or maybe she started to moderate that frequency a little bit. And I would say that is the case. She's speaking a lot better. What I was surprised about, a couple of hours after Pauline Hanson appeared with Ben Fordham in the breakfast show on 2GB, Andrew Hastie appeared in person in Sydney in the studio that Pauline had simply vacated half an hour earlier. And he was having a chat with whoever took over Ray Hadley's job. Nobody cares. And I've got to say, nervous speaker, very nervous. He knew how important it was for him to come across in that interview, I think, as not being rattled and not being nervous, but he was nervous. It came across as nervous. He looked nervous when you looked at the camera feed. And I would say he's not comfortable yet. He might say he's comfortable, but he isn't comfortable yet, facing a number of questions that we, the people, might like him to answer. He did, to his credit, take phone calls from the public. Two of those were from former people who served with him, and they were softball questions, to say the very least, even though if one was leading towards something that could have gone somewhere. but softball questions, and the other one was, well, a nothing question. So Hastie was introduced back to the people of Sydney in a soft way on the 2GB morning show. And if I'm honest, when he was given his 10 or 15 minutes to speak and speak confidently, it didn't impress me at all. And the thing that we all have to remember, folks, is that bit in the middle there. What happens to us if the Australian people find out we're just as much to blame for the state of the country right now? Because while it could be argued neither of them were in power during the last election and yada, 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 it can't be argued that they're new. Those blokes have been wandering around the halls of that place for years. Angus Taylor over 10, Matt Canavan, I want to say, certainly over 10. Matt Canavan has been there when they've been in power. I think Angus Taylor has been there when they've been in power. What did they do? Did they repeal any of the shit laws that the red-headed clown or Kevin Crud had put in before them? No, they didn't do that. Did they repeal any of the bullshit laws that Malcolm Turnbull had put in under his climate scam arrangement? No, we didn't do any of that. Did we get out of any kind of climate agreement? No, we didn't. In fact, we probably signed up to more than one or two agreements that we don't know about because they've been the subject of freedom of information requests that have been approved but entirely redacted. Did you get us out of the world spraying championships, let's call it, where the UN and other clandestine organizations have been using our skies to mix certain chemicals to do untold damage, be that through weather modification or simply just poisoning us with what they're dropping on us? No, you didn't stop any of that. In fact, you enabled that. And I don't know that that's something I can forgive. There might be others who would forgive you or the Liberal Party in general for doing that, but it's not me. I'm disgusted in what you have done and helped do to our nation. And you have done it not just to the civilian population, but you have allowed it to be done on your watch and in your opposition. You have allowed it to be done to our defence forces. I am beyond disgusted at the leadership in our defence forces. And early next week, I hope to have a conversation with a retired squadron leader of over 50 years RAAF experience. This is a man who's flown into war on our behalf. I just got off the phone with him before I started the show tonight, while I was a fraction late. You're going to love what this gentleman has to say, because he is as disgusted as I am at what senior management in the military are doing to our fighting men and women, how they are manipulating them, how they are poisoning their mind, and how they are, in certainly Ben Roberts-Smith's case, trying to rejig the narrative and brainwash personnel who may not be the smartest bean in the box into believing the corrupted narrative of Christopher Masters and that Mackenzie Muppet, who have written books on just how evil our fighting men and women are, specifically the SAS. But right now, I can tell you that there is a major walking around in Canberra wearing black stockings and a dress, and he thinks he knows what's going on and how the army should be run these days. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he was responsible for organising this little get-together. The Australian Army personnel learnt the art of Indigenous weapon making during exercise Greenskin in Canberra late last month. It was a 4-day activity connected to soldiers across the connecting soldiers from across the ACT, not a terribly big place, and connecting them with Indigenous history, culture, and the Ngunnawal traditions. Now, all they really had to do was send out an email that said, how about you meet us all at the Aboriginal Tent Embassy out in front of the old Parliament House at 9 o'clock, and we'll step onto that land and we'll get an education there about, well, what was it? Cultural stuff, and probably get an idea about weapons making as well, wouldn't you think? But no, somebody had to be paid to hold this 4-day seminar. And to prove that they did something good, here is a picture of a couple of the blokes who are preparing the Indigenous mortar launcher. Don't know how successful these ones appeared to be, but certainly the early stages, they look good, don't they? And then there was this bloke who appears to be making a glory hole. Outside of that, I'm not exactly sure. But our blokes in uniform, and women, I'm sure, now know how to make a weapon out of a stick. A 4-day course in Canberra. Here's a tip. If you are in a time of war, and if you are fighting hand to hand, and if you need to pick up a stick to defeat your opponents, there are 2 things that you need to remember. 1, pick up the heaviest stick you can, the most solid stick you can. And 2, make sure it's got a point on it. Not a sharp one to a knife tip, just a sharp point. Because anything with enough weight and force thrust at something soft and jelly-like, like a body, will get pierced by it. You don't need to go and polish your wood for 4 days, even though that does look like, a very special glory hole. But, the men in the trenches. Would you call that trench art? Maybe. I don't know. Here's Albo. Yeah. I like sharing that just because I do. Now, somebody sent me something the other day which I found to be rather interesting. And I don't know how true it is. I haven't been able to find out beyond there is a research facility. I haven't been able to find out much. So ChatGPT made me up the black box of the Earth. Now, the story I've been told is that on the west coast of South Australia, a black box with solar panels on the roof has been built. The walls of this box are 3 inches thick. It is a steel box. It is bolted to cement, which has been poured into rocks, which are never going to move unless the Earth turns upside down. What goes into this box? Well, apparently all the world's data, when it comes to things like salinity levels in the sea, acid levels in the sea, dust in the air, all the things that you would need to monitor a world for if you were connected to a data center that was mining all that information. And then should the world have a conniption and all the data centers in the world for some reason go off, right there is the black box of the world, buried in Tasmania, where some of the largest data centers on Earth are going to be built over the next 10 years. Do you find that interesting? If you, and I know we do have a few watchers from the wild west coast of Tasmania, if you're aware of that being built, I would love to know where that is. And I know Black Sheep isn't in Tassie at the moment. In fact, Black Sheep will be heading north to the Cape on Saturday, I am reliably informed. And he may well catch up with Robert along the road there somewhere. Robert's got a troop going with him. Sounds like there's 10 cars going with Robert. But the Cape is going to be very busy this time of year. And good luck getting down gunshot. I want videos, please. especially of you, Black Sheep. I want to see you take the Luxie down gunshot, mate. That would be a highlight for me, an absolute friggin' highlight. But if you are in Tasmania and you think you might know where that would be, I'd love some pictures of that too. Please send. Some news tonight on things constitutional, he says with a question mark. Now, Rod Cullerton apparently has written to the Attorney General in the last days, weeks, months, years, and this time has received a reply indicating that the Attorney General does agree that the Attorney General didn't have the authority to remove the Great Seal, and if the Great Seal has indeed been removed, as it has been since Goff's days, then any act that has been put through the Parliament from that time forth is in fact an unlawful act and should hold no credence. The Australian Attorney General apparently has agreed to that. I have not seen that document, but there are people getting all very excited about it over on the various interwebs, and not one of them appears to have seen the document yet. Now, I don't know Rod. He hasn't rung me back when I do ring him. I know that Tim Dwyer and he do chat, so I'm going to ring Tim and ask Tim to put in a good word, or at least to find out what the story is behind all this. Because clearly, if you can get the Attorney General to admit that the Great Seal has been removed without any authority to do so, then that necessarily triggers a constitutional crisis. And then, of course, we have a whole other group, which I'll get to next week, which believe the Constitution is completely invalid, full stop, and are well prepared to go to very great lengths to prove it. And what does that mean going forward? So we are going to look into those couple of little bits and pieces in the next week. But next week we'll also have a little bit of traveling involved, and we might be a little hit and miss with shows, particularly on the Thursday night, and possibly, I'm going to say Friday night, we will get a show out. It'll probably be from the slot cars at Wilmington for the big SA van life camp out that is happening at the Stony Creek Bush Camp and Caravan Park with Wayno and crew. So we'll get that out on Friday night, but Thursday might be a little hit and miss, given that I'm going out with Vince to catch up with the My Place crew. We'll see if we can get something short done for that. But next week there will be a couple of other interesting chats I'm hoping to get to, including that retired squadron leader who is on his way to Melbourne at the moment because there is a celebration about to happen for the C4 jets that are being taken out of service by the RAAF. Many people who were involved with flying those or involved with the RAF over years are going down to send those aircraft off, so to speak. There'll be a big dinner there. I think it's Thursday night, and big day of celebrations there. So if you are around Point Cook in Melbourne, watch out on Thursday. You're going to see some unexpectedly low-flying aircraft, I get a sneaking suspicion. And of course, if you haven't been to Point Cook, folks, please go. The bastards in the Labor Party are trying desperately to sell it. Now, they tried doing this some time ago and failed dismally. Probably not for the reasons that you think, but the reasons to keep Point Cook are so many, so varied, we could do an entire show on it. But suffice to say, Point Cook isn't just the oldest aircraft training school in the world, in Australia. It is the world. It is the oldest in the world. And the Labor Party now wants to sell it off so they can get some cash from the land developers who want to build cheek-by-jowl housing on it for a whole bunch of people who are being imported from overseas that we really don't want here. at least not in the numbers that Labor are bringing them in. The only way that you're going to be able to keep Point Cook, which is a magnificent historical day out, if you've not been, go and have a look. They have a number of aircraft there that you can crawl all over and really get involved with. And the histories of those aircraft is quite amazing. And simply the history of Point Cook. When you walk into that main hangar there, that thing's been there since like 1900. I mean, unbelievably old. Go and check it out. Go and save it. Go and tell them the Voice of Freedom guy told you to go and have a look. But if you can be around there on Thursday, boy, are you in for a treat. You're going to see some magnificent old aircraft. And I'm working, in fact, I only sent an email off today to another historical aircraft or aviation family, Pays Aviation. They've got a 2-seat Spitfire that they are putting into public service. And by public service, I mean you can go for a ride in a Spitfire. Now, I don't ever expect to be able to afford to go for a ride in a Spitfire, but by gosh, I'm going to go and have a look at you going for a ride in a Spitfire as often as I can. The noise of one of those things going past you just makes the hair on your back of your neck stand up. And I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of hair on your back of your neck, Tia. This is the lovely Tia, who is currently #1 patient in ICU at the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. Now, Tia came in a little while ago. She has been a little on the lean side, and she has a liver problem. Hence, while we're getting a few fluids into her. But she's all quarantined off there in the ICU, and she'll be in there for a few more days getting the care and attention that she deserves, and that only Sandy and Barry can give. God love both of you for doing that. It keeps her, keeps me feeling good about the world. And then I get a story like this pop up. A foreign-owned massive 14,916 hectare New South Wales Riverina station has been awarded $10 million in taxpayer cash from the Basin Buybacks Community Funding Program. This is a Chinese company that has been given $10 million. Taxpayer money to buy what back? I'm not quite sure. Oh, I know. That'll be the water rights. Cotton is a very water-intensive crop. I'm about to sneeze. Pardon me just one moment. Look at the light. It's coming. It's coming. It's not coming. God, don't you hate that? So cotton, a lot of water required. Therefore, you pull it, and you pull it out of the Murray-Darling Basin. You pull it out of that water system. And producers along the Murray-Darling have been doing that since they've been producing. Now, of course, we have governments referring to their ownership of the water in those river systems and how little of it the farmers are allowed to get. Now, I'm not exactly all for anybody buying back the water rights so you can't produce more cotton. All right, grow something else that requires less water. But why are we handing $10 million of Australian taxpayer money to the Chinese? Why are the Chinese owning a 15,000 hectare property in Australia, what is prime growing land in the Riverina? And how long before they decide to sell it to one of their electronic Chinese titan mates so that they can put wind farms or solar farms over the land they no longer want to grow food on? And do you trust this bloke to do anything about it? Because he's the one they're now touting again as the great white hope for the Liberal Party. At a time where other great white hopes in the Liberal Party are deserting the ship like rats up an aqueduct. They are bailing big time. In fact, John O'Duniam, who I felt has probably been one of the foremost performers for the Liberal Party since the last election, because prior to that election, I'd never even heard of the bloke. But since then, I've actually learned how to pronounce his name. Better than that, I've listened to quite a lot of what he has to say. He is a very sensible, well-measured, intelligent human being who isn't devoted to ideology, but is devoted to sense and sensibility. And he's leaving the Liberal Party because, well, he's saying it's for family reasons. You know, he wants to be there for his teenage kids. And look, he's been in and around politics for 25 years or so. He was a lapdog of previous politicians. Sorry, lapdog is the wrong word. Staffer for previous politicians. So he's been in the game for a long time. He's been in the good days and the bad. He's been when they've been in power. He's been in behind the scenes. And, of course, when they haven't been. But he has been a good performer since this election, and I expected big things from him. Now he's not going to stand. He won't be standing for re-election, he says, at least for the Liberal Party. Wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw Pauline potentially convince him at some stage to come back into it, maybe in the next 2 years, if, and I don't suspect they will, if One Nation gets that long to organise it. I think he'd be one worth having, and he would be one that might drag a couple of other Liberal members over that might be worth having, like Alex Antic. I'm not going to say Hastie because I have very deep philosophical differences with a man like Andrew Hastie. I do not like the way he has acted dishonourably, and I believe he's acted dishonourably to better his political career. I don't think that that's a very courageous human being, and it's certainly not a man that I would support in any leadership role going forward in this nation. That some people might say that's very harsh, but what he's done, what he continues to do by stepping out and suggesting that he will play a role in the Ben Roberts-Smith trial going forward is wrong. And I will reiterate why it is wrong for the 100th time, or should I say for the 50th time, Albo. It is wrong because Andrew Hastie offers nothing to the whole Ben Roberts case except rumour and innuendo. He has no eyewitness or first-hand testimony to offer because he wasn't there. In fact, he wasn't within 100 kilometres of any of these things when they happened. And where he was, we could potentially talk about on another day. And we would also like to have a much closer look at the circumstances surrounding his order that resulted in the death of 2 civilians, which seems to have been swept under the rug. Oh, that's right. He was a captain. And Paul Brereton, author of The Bastard Report, made sure that captains and above didn't need to bother about anything they did. It was just everybody underneath that rank that was going to be scrutinised and held up as war criminals in Schultze and Ben Roberts-Smith's case. Absolutely abhorrent behaviour by our leaders in this country and disgusting, treasonous behaviour by our Defence Force leadership, who I had the misfortune of watching last week in Senate estimates as well. And I've got to tell you, I may have seen a weaker man than the head of the Royal Australian Air Force. I may have, but I don't remember when. The man who currently heads the Australian Air Force is just weak. Weak. The people that head the Australian Defence Forces are woke, weak, moccasin-wearing morons. The sooner they take their pension and get the fuck out of leadership in this country, the better our nation will be all round. And to the young men and women, the enlisted people, the ones who actually do the work and follow the orders, always remember, you only need to follow lawful orders. When your brass starts sending down edicts that go against you, go against morality, you don't have to follow those orders. What you do have to do is call out those people who are telling them, giving them to you. And we, the people, will help make sure they can't hurt you anymore, because they're hurting us as well. And you would be hurting us by carrying out those sorts of orders. So don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now then, I've run long a couple of times this week, so I'm going to run a little shorter this week, but I really couldn't go without playing a couple of little things for you. Now, I'm a little bit torn about this next piece, but I do believe it wholeheartedly. It is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I do believe its sentiment wholeheartedly. And I believe that any reasonable thinking man or woman that wanted to dress up in a woman or a man's clothes would also look at this and think, pretty reasonable. At the end of the day, I just want us all to be welcome.
Yourself, go ahead.
My name's Alex Stein. I'm considered one of the sexiest men in conservative politics. And one thing I want to say, a lot of people are going to hear my testimony and you're going to say you're anti-LGBTQ. That's impossible because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. So obviously I have a lot of gay pride. But, you know, a lot of conservatives like yourself, you want to outlaw transgenders in women's sports. I disagree. I like transgenders in women's sports because you can gamble on them and win money. And I won so much money on Leah Thomas's propeller in that pool. I actually like transgenders in the military too because, first of all, transgenders are some of the meanest people on planet Earth, so they'd make a good soldier, don't you think? And then, you know, second of all, transgenders love to do mass shootings. So, you know, that's perfect for a military veteran. And then on top of that, the suicide rate is incredibly high among transgender people. So we could just use them like the Taliban has suicide bombers. Maybe you guys can actually, you know, if you commit suicide, actually help us in the battlefield. So that would be good. So I think we need transgenders in the military and women's sports. Now, when we come to the bathroom bill, though, this is an asymmetrical problem because, first of all, no dude cares if, like, a bisexual woman comes in there and tries to use, like, a pee funnel. But we don't want these gargoyles in a dress, you know, some chick with a dick coming in there and trying to pee or poop next to my girlfriend because that's disgusting. And, well, I was going to say something. Listen, I have my First Amendment right. Let me just say. So, we're sick of these transgenders trying to invade women's personal spaces. These people have autogynephilia, they're sexual perverts, and they actually get satisfaction from going there and looking under a stall. So these are mentally ill people that are on hormones, that are on all kinds of pills, they're impulsive, and they do not belong in a women's restroom. So if some of you lesbians want to come in and pee next to me, you're more than welcome. So we just don't let the chicks in the women's room, and you guys are all welcome in the men's room.
I think that's perfect. You're all welcome in the men's room. We just don't want the chicks with dicks in the ladies' room. I think that's fine. You're all welcome in the men's room. There isn't a bloke I know who would stop a woman wanting to use a pee funnel if that's what she felt she had to do. Dressed as a bloke in the men's, right? And if you're actually one of those men, inverted commas, you'd be wanting to use your pee funnel there, wouldn't you? It does get a bit confusing, even when they come out and tell you what they're doing. I mean,
but now you can see I'm fully branded in a rebel now.
He's been bought. He's been bought. It started with kissing the wall. Now he's got a shirt on.
Yeah, I had the briefing with Mossad. It's all done. It's all sorted. So things are looking good for me.
Watch this space. Have a fun night, folks. Watch the dickheads on the road.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!